Good evening, guys. Hope everyone's doing well. Well, good afternoon even. I forget what date, time it is in this job sometimes. Yeah, on another run coming back from Holyhead after we dropped off a trailer from Rotterdam yesterday. We're heading back south to Southampton, and today I'm going to show you a little demonstration why I'd rather have speed over power sometimes. Now, this Iveco here just came off a boat from Ireland. I know people scoff at Ivecos, but the new ones, they have some lovely wagons. They drive nice, and this one here is running close to probably say about 58, 59. Now we're going to show you, now even though this is a V8, it's running about 56.5. Coming up to these hills, we'll see how this handles. Obviously it's light anyway, to be fair, so it's not really a good demonstration, but sometimes I've seen some of the lads with some quick trucks, they've gone past me, come to a hill, slight struggle, I've left them, and then obviously once I've got over the crest of the hill, they've crested it after me, and then obviously then they've gone back up and then left me. So now obviously I'm quite heavy at the moment. With this one I'd probably say I'm around, this is showing, this ain't right, it's definitely got a lot heavier weight on this on the back. I'd probably say we're probably around about 35, 36 tons. So now look, this is where the V8 comes into place. Now I'm going uphill, he's empty, but he's faster than me, so I'm not going to try and overtake him again and then to be overtaken again. It's just a bit of a pain sometimes, so I can just hold it, modulate the throttle, just myself here, knock the cruise control off. There's no point in me trying to go past him and I'm going to have that bloody awkward look again when he's going to go past me again. So I'll just hold it here, just let the gradient slowly even out. I'm catching him back up again, but then he's going to start to pick up speed again. So rather than me being sat out in the middle lane and be looking rather stupid because it's faster than me, so in times like this here, just modulate it with the throttle. Right, and there's this car here. Now my other videos, there should be no way on earth that a car is getting overtaken by trucks on any non-restricted stretches of road. Is this an elderly person? Let's have a look. Maybe, okay, so maybe elderly. I'll give you a blight. So from my previous video where certain people are getting a pass, I'll let them off. Okay, now it's a little bit windy. It's not overly windy, mind you, but it's a bit overcast today. Now later on we're going to see the advantages of a V8, even if you've got someone's quick. So if I can keep behind this bloke here for quite a while till we get to the big hill where the climb later on, and you'll be able to see the difference between a V8 and a six-cylinder. But at the moment he's just walking away from me. I'd probably say it's probably running closer to 60, let's just say. I'm on a roll at the moment. Right, I'm at 60 now. 60.5. So we're still well within the limits, you know, we're not speeding. It's 60.5 at the moment. So we're back down to 60. So yeah, I'm going to show you the hill. I wanted to, I made the comment yesterday on the way down here to show you the power of a V8 going up that big hill. Now I've done that before in 580 V8 before, and it was okay. It was a bit of a struggle. It was an older V8. It's not this shape, not this style. It was like the more rounded one. I think it was the I don't know if it was the R cab, but it was, you know which one I mean. The older, you'll see the older Scanias, the more rounded. It was a top line. That was a 580 V8, and that was all right. It wasn't. It was quick. it was quickish. It was running about 58.5, so I could live with that one. So yeah, I had a bit of power, and it was 58.5, so that one was okay. And that was an Irish registered V8, that one. And I've done this hill on a 500 and a 450 when you're heavy, and believe me, when you're very heavy going up that hill after, you'll see sometimes you're crawling up there and as one of my very good subscribers, Niall, now he's worked in Canada and he's done coast to coast from Canada. He's a driver in Ireland as well. He's done Canada, the US, across to the Mexico border. So he speaks from experience as well, and we were both commenting where you'll see people crawling up hills basically 15, 20 miles an hour, and if we're coming up behind them, let's just say it's night time, you can't really gauge distances. Now you should really put your hazards on to let us know you're very, very slow going uphill, so at least then we can take the appropriate lane early enough, because if in case if we've got like cars at the side of us, or we've got a quick wagon, you know, if we're coming up on your last minute and then we're trying to take evasive action, we're going to lose all momentum if we're heavy. And as aforementioned, once you lose your momentum, that's your worst enemy. Now in this it's not too bad, but even you could be in a V8, but even if you still lose momentum, it's still hard to regain it again. So the name of the game in trucking especially is to keep your momentum going. So whether you're coming up to a roundabout or traffic lights, anticipation is the key. So you want to anticipate when the lights are going to change and try to keep your momentum going. Right, come on little car, can we just enter? Thank you. No? Okay, no problem. Come to expect it. And again, this was made in my other videos where you let some people in, not a shred of decency, no manners, not an iota. Let's put it this way, no F's were given. And obviously, you know, F's standing for, I don't have to use profanity, but yesterday my other videos on the way down to Dover, there was some profanity because I think I'd lost my will to live, and the frustration of having so much roadworks, diversions. Right, see, we're back again now. We did the video the other day with a Menai Bridge and bright sunshine. Now today it's very, very gloomy. We're going across it in the 660. So that is a nice little house, but my god, thanks but no thanks. Now there's the other Menai Bridge over there, if you can see it. Now that one is as tight as cramp, and I hope that one of these days that there's a real bad storm and I can go across that one just to show you just how tight that little bridge is. Due to the high strong winds, the buffeting was unreal. But my topic of conversation today will be, the main one will be the trucking solidarity. Right, come on, for goodness sake. How are you getting out dragged by your car, mate? Are you serious? Sorry, get out dragged by a car. Getting out dragged by a truck in a car. It defies belief. Right, let's get back in again. So yeah, the topic of conversation is there should be more solidarity amongst truckers. Now, what I mean by this is, now since I've started driving, you know, there's a lot of things that you kind of find out over the years. Some things you learn out by yourself and some things you hear. Now for me, if you're a driver, if you're coming from overseas, now there's a derogatory term in the UK. I'm sure every country will have one for drivers from overseas. Now we use the term flip-flop. Reason being is you'll see a lot of guys in Crocs, some in flip-flops. Jonny Foreigner. I like to know Jonny, who Jonny Foreigner is, but yeah, these are two of the terms of, let's just say, not of endearment, let's just say, of fellow truck drivers. Now hear me out here. Now don't get me wrong, in any form of driving, whether it's a car driver, van driver, truck driver and motorcyclists, you're always going to get a small minority that are going to give the majority a bad name. let me reiterate, you're going to have a small minority that's going to give the majority a bad name, whether it's due to the bad driving, the lack of comprehension. What I mean by that is they don't speak a word of a language where they're working at. So if you're working in England, you should be able to speak English. It's a given. If you work in America, like the laws that Trump brought in to say if you're a commercial driver you should have to speak English, it's a law. 100% agree with that one. Now, what I was getting at with the solidarity, now even though these guys might be flip-flops and might be Jonny foreigners, but bearing in mind they are just a truck driver like us. They're providing for their family like us. They're doing a dangerous job like us. So to call these guys, you know, Jonny foreigners, flip-flops, and sometimes have a hostile attitude towards foreign drivers, now I don't really take too kindly to that. Reason being is, like we said before, we're driving about in Europe. If you do European work, we'll be the Jonny foreigner to these guys. And believe me, some of the drivers, they are some lovely drivers. I've got loads of friends. I've got my friend Rafał from Poland. I've got loads. I've got guys from Hungary. I've got guys from, Romania, Holland, here, there, Spain, here, there, and everywhere. And these guys were some fantastic fellas. Fantastic. I'm not just saying that because of my friends, but, over the years of me going international, German guys, Dutch guys, whenever I've been stuck overseas as a new driver, they've been more than happy to help. Now, in trucking, it is a male industry. It's a male-led industry, and slowly now you can see there's more female drivers coming in. And right, for me, let's not beat about the bush. Now, I'm a black driver, but it doesn't, for me, I'm not one of these got chip on the shoulder or none of that rubbish. I'm just a driver. The colour of my skin should not make any difference. But sometimes you may see from certain drivers, again, small minority, you get that look. Or even if you go in somewhere, you go into a Lidl. I'll give you an example. If you go to a Lidl, now I'll be unloading my trailer like everybody else, walking around into there, and you'll see some drivers coming up to me thinking I work for Lidl. Granted, I've took the mickey sometimes. I've had a Lidl t-shirt on to kind of take the piss, but sometimes I've been dressed normally. And how it works in Lidl is you've got to go and ask the Lidl staff where you got to give them the keys, and they'll give you a key to an electric pump truck so you can go and start unloading. Now they've walked up to me and basically asked me, sorry, where do you want the pallets, and can I have a key for the pump truck? Now I've looked at them, I've looked at him, and I've looked at the driver, and I thought to myself, now surely you can't be blind, you can see me with a pump truck unloading a trailer. So now they're probably thinking I'm not a driver, I'm just a warehouse person that works in Lidl's. That's one example. And sometimes when you'll be, sometimes when I'm driving this thing, if you're driving a nice wagon, sometimes you might get a bit of animosity because you're driving a nice truck, and you can kind of feel it. Now it doesn't bother me. I couldn't give two F's in all honesty. It don't really bother me at all. I've got thick skin. Now I've been in England for over 30 years. When I came here, now I was born overseas. I was born in Mauritius. When I came here, now I had to learn English and French when I was in primary school, because our native language is not English nor French, it's Creole. That's what we speak in the house. And when we go to primary school now, Mauritius used to be a British colony, so we've had to learn English, rightly so, and French. Now Mauritius, if you don't know a bit of history, has been colonised by every Tom, Dick and Harry. We're the only place where we had the dodo, which was killed by the Dutch. It was basically like a massive chicken. Now I love chicken, and the bigger, the better, the tastier. Now this dodo, obviously, it was killed by the Dutch settlers because it was a flightless bird. Anyway, moving on. So we've been colonised by the Dutch, the Portuguese, the French, the British, and God knows how many other countries, you know, centuries and centuries ago. Now, obviously, when I came to England, you know, I learnt the language to basically assimilate, to communicate, and to get along with everybody, and that's how you do. You know, obviously, that's why you might hear the Northwest Mancunian the twang in the accent. Now, essentially, you do sometimes, don't get me wrong, sometimes you do get a bit of xenophobia in the trucking industry. Sometimes you'll hear drivers, you know, you see, you know, a few women drivers here, there and everywhere, due to the lack of the driving diversity. Now, I hate all this bullshit about diversity, equity and inclusion. All that nonsense needs to stop. If you're qualified to do a job, you can do it. You shouldn't get a job because you're a certain orientation. Now, there's only male and female. Now, that's the sexes. This is my opinion. If you get offended, apologies, it's my truck channel. Now, obviously, if there are, you know, homosexuals out there, no problem. If you want to drive a truck, that's fine. You know, you shouldn't get a job because you're a man, you're a woman, you're gay, you're straight, you're black, you're white, green, yellow, red or blue. Or, if you're a particular religion, Catholic, Protestant or Muslim, whatever religion you are, Buddhist, Maoist, whatever. So the trucking industry, as I said, it's a community. I can't really call it just a fraternity because there's women in there, so it'll be a sorority, but due to the fact that it is a male dominated industry, let's call it a community. So the trucking community now is mainly, it's an elderly demographic in the trucking industry, because now, like I said before, once trucking's in your blood, you find it very hard to get back out of it again. Now, don't get me wrong, the majority, I will say again, the majority of drivers I've come across over the years sound, you're a truck driver, you know, nobody's batted an eyelid, doesn't matter, you know, we've got southerners, northerners like I am, you know, there's black, white, Asian, Chinese, you know, different nationalities, nobody's given an F where you're from, what colour you are, what language you speak, because we understand the trucking community is just that. We're all here to provide for our families. So next time when you're calling somebody a Johnny foreigner or a flip-flop, just remember that, guys, you know, they're not here to steal our jobs. Granted, again, there might be some that may well do that have come over, dodgy licenses, and I'm sure, you know what I mean, you've seen this around yourself, you know, there must be, for a fact, that not everybody here has passed the test correctly, or they've had somebody else take the test for them and given them their licenses. Let's just leave it at that, because I see it on a day-to-day. But the majority, you know, you've worked hard, you've done your test, and you've gone through the testing procedures in your respective countries, and you learn how to drive a truck. So again, just give these guys a bit of respect. Remember, when they're driving in England, as I keep going on about, these guys have driven, you know, thousands of miles, thousands of kilometers to get here. Granted, they might make a few mistakes. Now, I will tell you, due to fatigue, and it is very, very real. And also, they're driving a left-hand drive in a right-hand drive country. So bear that in mind. They might make a few mistakes. Just give them a bit of consideration to fellow truck drivers. So don't just call these guys, you know, flip-flops, Johnny foreigners. Because remember, if one of these days, if you ever go overseas, you're going to be that flip-flop, that Johnny foreigner. And if you get the small minority that don't take too kindly to Johnny foreigners in their countries, you may not get the same experience that you'd expect. So treat everybody as you like to be treated. And that's saying, if you get some people want to, you know, treat you a certain type of way, remember, life is a mirror. Whatever you're receiving, give it back. If that makes sense. So if someone's nice to you, reciprocate. Someone's someone's a a-hole to you, reciprocate. Simple as that. So that's the topic of conversation for today. So come on, guys, remember, guys and girls, whether you're a male driver, female driver. Now my friend Jason was telling me about, so I said obviously he's seen a few cross-dressing drivers. Again, you know, to each their own. If you're over 18, if that's what your way inclined, if that's your inclination, so be it. You know, you're not hurting me, you're not doing anything to me. So whatever style, whatever way you want to drive a truck, just drive it safely and have consideration for other drivers out there. I've said before, truckers should all stick together. We should have a union. Trucking guys all stick together no matter what. So if next time if you're parked up in the services, you're parked up, and if you see a guy from overseas, you know, it's getting late at night, there's a tight space he needs to get into, he's in a left-hand drive, the space is for a right-hand drive to make it easy to reverse in on your good side. Come on, guys, go and give him a hand. You know, try and at least jump out. You might not be able to speak the language, but at least if you're jumping out there, you know, you can be their eyes for them. You can try use this, left, right, slow down. These are universal signals. You know what, seriously, they'll be much appreciated. And again, these guys may be just new drivers themselves. You know, they've got to learn somehow, and they may be new drivers, but they get flung in a truck and they're driving international as a new driver. Now, a lot of UK drivers here, you know, you're going to learn your craft in the UK, whereby some of these guys, you know, from the Eastern Bloc countries or from wherever, you know, they'll drive to earn the money. They might have to drive international to make it pay. So just bear that in mind, guys, okay? So again, so let's enjoy this bit now in the V8.